Can you imagine he coined that and still had slaves? Trash. Hey there, how you doing? Triple Girl here. So, trying to do a reading vlog, attempting to do a reading vlog of this amazing book, Carved in Ebony, Lessons from the Black Women Who Shape Us. I'm going to the hairdresser, and I will probably be reading this there. I'm going to a market, going to do my hair in the markets, Kyawama markets in Solwezi. That's where I'm at. So I got this as a birthday gift from a friend of mine. I've been wanting it when it came out, and she surprised me for my birthday, which was like, yay. I think it was like almost 2 weeks old on the market when I got it. So it explores, I think, Black women in Christian history who've changed and shaped the Christian faith. I think so. So yeah, I will read most of it at the Salon. Probably at least some of it. I might vlog my way there. I don't know. I might vlog my time there. We'll see. But yeah, hopefully I finish it. It will be my first paperback that I might finish. I hope I finish it. I'm telling you, Kindle and Scribd has me on some type of chokehold. I have not read a single paper book finished a single paper book this year, which is quite sad. But yeah, Carved in Ebony by Jasmine Holmes. Yeah, on to the hairdresser. It's beautiful. Do you see that the cover is beautiful? It's such a beautiful cover. Like, look at that. Look at that. That. Oh my gosh. The women there. It's a beautiful cover. It's beautiful. And there's the author. Follow her on Instagram. She's a gem, if you ask me. But yeah. What's up? So I've been to the hairdresser, if you could tell. And I tried to vlog my way there, but vlogging is so exhausting, and Solwezi is so dusty and just a nightmare altogether. So I don't know, maybe I've added a bit of that or not, I don't know. But I did read, which was surprising, because if you saw where I was, I didn't think I was gonna get much reading done, but I ended up reading 5 chapters, if we count the foreword. But 4 chapters, the intro and the 3 women. I thought I was just going to read like the intro and 1 woman, but hey, progress. And I've gone pretty much far. Not so far. I mean, 3 out of 10 is a good place to be. yeah, that's how much I've read. As you can see, I've clearly highlighted a couple of things there. So I did think that this would read like a bio of each of the women, like each chapter. Let's say Elizabeth Freeman, who was the first one mentioned, is like just a chapter about Elizabeth Freeman, but it doesn't read like that. The author infuses some of her experiences and how she's learned from these women, like how they relate to her, some aspect of her life. So it reads more like a conversation. It's like a memoir-ish, a bit of herself and the bio of the women. It's an interesting take, way of writing, I guess. And I like it. It kind of just feels like I'm talking to the author, which is great. So I read 3 women, like I said, and I think I already have a favorite. Too soon, of course, but I think I already have a favorite. So the first woman that we have here is Elizabeth Freeman. She was the first Black woman to sue for her freedom in the state of Massachusetts in 1981, and she won. Her owner, John Ashley, contributed to the Sheffield Declaration, which stated that mankind in a state of nature are equal, free, and independent of each other, and have a right to the undisturbed enjoyment of their lives, their liberty, and property. Can you imagine he coined that and still had slaves? Trash. But she stood for her freedom and she won. She was midwife. She was so good that even after she lost, even after her owner lost the court case, he wanted to hire her. Like, really? Do you think I'm gonna work for you again? But she opted to work for her lawyer after she won her court case. She couldn't read or write, which was amazing. Honestly, she couldn't read or write, but she stood up and got her freedom. So kudos to Elizabeth Freeman. She's quoted to having said one of these quotes, which has been shared with us on the first page, which is, anytime while I was a slave, if 1 minute's freedom had been offered to me and had been told I must die at the end of that minute, I would have taken it. Just to stand 1 minute on God's earth, a free woman, I would. Yeah. Great woman. She seems like a woman of her word. She seems like she said what she did and she did what she said. Commendable. Amazing. The second woman we have is Sara Stanley, I believe. Sara Griffith Stanley. She was a mixed race, biracial, half black, half white. She was so light that she could have passed as a white woman. I guess Meghan Markle type of light. Mariah Carey is not black. I don't know, but apparently she's black. But you get the point, is that she was that light, like very, very light. She could have passed. And that was very common back in the day to pass as a white person, especially because she was in a very white, predominantly white area. She could have passed as a white person and didn't need to allude to her half black, genes race, I guess, but she chose not to do that. She was a pastor's kid as well. Throughout her letters, Sara expresses a deep understanding of the Imago Dei, the image of God that is on each and every single one of us, whether you're black, white, or brown. So she really did push for that. So good for her. Yeah, that's Sara Griffin. Her faithfulness was just so amazing. The third woman we have is Nannie Helen Burroughs, I guess. And she, Jasmine says she was the one that she almost left out, and she's, I think, my favorite so far. Why did Jasmine want to leave her out? Because Nannie, Helen, we're going to call her Helen because I don't know how to pronounce her, if I'm enunciating her first name correctly. But Helen was a bit controversial. She wrote a book called 12 Things a Negro Must Do. The book itself is a collection of essays about a shorter essay Nannie wrote. She sets her sights in improving the Negro race through such advice as he's entirely too loud and too ill-mannered, and too amped to blame white people for his failures. She was just like, my gosh, Mama, what is wrong with you? So she she was quite controversial, and one of the things that made Jasmine pick her, I guess, and which is why I think she's one of my favorite, was that she is trying to show us that just because somebody did something exemplary doesn't mean they're perfect. And that's why I like Helen, I think. She seems to have been very controversial and have had very terrible attitude, honestly. But she put in work. She came from a place of care. She came from a place of really caring for her race and wanting to prove her race with the information that she had, I guess, which is, I guess, commendable. It wasn't coming from spite or from hate. She was just not a woman of words, but a woman of action. She once said, "What's the sense of talk if you don't do something? You talk and people get stirred up and think they would like to do something, and that makes them feel good. They go off happy and satisfied, feeling as though there's some account in the world because they felt like doing something and they haven't done one thing to help one soul alive. If you're going to be a Christian, you've got to do something weekdays as well as talk and feel about it on Sundays." So I guess she was broken, like all of us. A little bit of, I think she would have been the type of person that started Twitter wars if she was here. She responded to one of a pastor in the day, Billy Sunday, the most popular evangelist of his era, when he proposed teaching a segregated revival service in a particular area. She responded directly to him and said, "You must be under the impression that the colored people of this city want to hear you. This is not true. However, they may be willing to arrange for a performance at one of their own churches if the weather is favorable, but we cannot promise, even under favorable conditions, to have any intelligent Negroes see and hear you. Those who might attend would be just as ignorant as the Negroes in Atlanta who accommodated you." So she was direct. She was direct about the injustice. She was direct. She addressed the specific people who were doing nonsense, and she didn't shy about it. She was just like, "You are nonsense. We're not doing this, blah, blah, blah." So I think she's my favorite, mainly because I think, in a sense, I do see a lot of myself in her as well, a bit of split personality. A bit of like, "Okay, you can't say this. That's very rude. Don't be too blunt." I've been told that I can be a little too blunt sometimes. So, of course, she's not. I don't necessarily think that her ways are what we should always go for. She was a bit, even just, I think some of her views and thoughts about Black people a bit were just like, okay, I don't know. If people should respect you because you're a human being first, and then the rest can trickle on. But some of her thoughts and ideas sort of kind of feel like, oh, you have to change and do that a bit to fit into acceptability, and blamed a lot of the injustice, in a sense, I think, on Black people. But she walked the talk. Honestly, she walked the talk. If you read through her legacy, the things that she did, the schools that, like, she went all out to improve the lives of her fellow counterparts. She says something that also stood out for me here. "God does not call the blind to lead the blind, nor cowards to preach his gospel," when she's talking about how the church is silent about evangelizing and sharing the gospel. So those are the three women that I've read so far. I don't know how much I'll go through the rest of the week, but yeah.